We're going to shoot it. This whole thing is going to be in the video. That's fine with me.
I don't like that.
Doesn't have to be too formal.
What should I like?
I'm just kidding.
Hold on.
All right.
I don't like this. It's hot in here.
Seems like that would get a little hot.
It was also, I'm getting kind of warm, dude.
All
Should I
right.
watch my language
I don't think so.
for the boys
I
and girls at home?
think Ms. McDowell would appreciate your truth.
Spinner change.
And that's okay.
Spinner change.
All right. Get away from the candy.
But it's so good.
All right. So, good evening, Ms. McDowell. How are you doing today? I hope it's fantastic. I'm asking a phone. All right. So, first off, would you like to state your name?
Oh, my name is Aiden Carpenter.
Why don't you tell a little bit about yourself?
So, I'm a 21-year-old man. I'm currently in Fire Academy here in Franklin, North Carolina. I'm a volunteer firefighter on Franklin Fire Department. I've also got 5 years in service with the Army National Guard, and I'm currently also a full-time mechanic and also a bodybuilder. So there's a little bit about me.
It's very interesting.
A lot going on there.
You have a busy life.
Way too busy.
All right. Are you ready to get into these?
Let's get into it, brother.
We're going to take it nice and simple. I'm going to help you out if you need it. And I just want your opinion.
Alrighty.
That's all I want. So what do you think causes crime? In the most broad way possible, you can answer that question. And then we'll work our way in.
Alright, so what causes crime is some people make mistakes and some people just aren't great people. Simple as that. Some people are down in the dumps and kind of act out. If we're talking felonies, murder, stuff like that, people act out, they're deep down. They're, down bad per se. And then you just got people that are not okay in the head. They just never were.
So that's talking more along the lines of like violent crimes?
Violent crimes, I mean, even like drugs and stuff, like, same thing. Like innocent mistakes. Somebody was, somebody's dealing with drug issues. So, stuff like that. And then you've also got people who just, that's all they know. So it's kind of what their life is. That's what they grew up around. So that's just who they are.
Absolutely. What about something like a property crime? Like stealing something from someone?
Stealing something, I mean, same kind of thing. Like, one thing is like you got genuinely good people, but they got to do what they can to get by. And then on the other hand, you've got, I feel like there's not like a one-shot rule at it, especially being in the firefighter side, working hand in hand. I mean, then you've got the people that are just, they're not good people, and they just do it to, sure, like, there's money in it, but a lot of it is for their own satisfaction of stuff. It's like, let's talk arson on my side of the world. A lot of people do it just because they feel like it.
That's a good point.
And then on the other hand, you have little kids that set houses on fire and they didn't know what they were doing.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, kind of got a wide spectrum to go off of.
On that spectrum, what about like insurance? What about those people?
And I would say they lean more this side. They're trying to fraud the government out of money, and in the end, end up getting caught because fire investigators are really good at their jobs.
Just like Chris was looking at, because he was telling me about that.
Yeah, exactly. And that's like part of his job is fire investigation, and they are the ones that get a hold of SBI and the FBI.
Chris is a friend of ours.
Very good friend of mine. I'm in Fire Academy with him. He's a full-time firefighter out here for the county.
And he had previously talked to me about arson investigation and why the fire starts, and so did you actually.
Yeah.
I think we all had that conversation together. Where do you get most of your info about crime? Tell me the truth.
A lot of the PD guys around here. I mean, like literally less than an hour ago, I was down at the firehouse for a fire meeting tonight, and we were out there talking with this one of the PD guys about stuff like past stuff that they've done.
Mm-hmm. Just like things they've had to deal with.
PD guys, guys that work for the state. I mean, even government officials. Me being National Guard, I talk to a lot of military police and government officials and stuff like that. So I kind of have a wide spectrum of crime and stuff, from big stuff to little, like, petty stuff.
Little, like a theft. Theft here or there. Leading into my next question, I do have to ask, do you think you get, and I know the answer, but do you think you get a decent amount of your info about crime on TikTok? Or
yes
news
and
outlets?
no. I don't get it. Like, I see, like, the big crime stuff on TikTok and social medias. But, like, other than that, most of it's kind of like, person-to-person source, not.
Yeah.
Or, like, sometimes I'll see something on TikTok and I'll start, going to, like, archives on my phone and looking it up on Google if I'm, like, really curious about it.
If you want to.
Or I watch documentaries.
Documentaries are good.
Documentaries are good.
Like the Netflix ones?
Like
with the
Ted
horror,
Bundy.
yeah.
Yeah, those are
with
good.
the Menendez brothers.
Oh, that one too, that's a good one.
Leading into that, because this question goes right off of that, do you think the media portrays crime accurately?
I do not. I think people take crimes that are done and blow them further out of proportion than they should be. With some things.
Mhm.
Some things, I think, and this is my personal opinion, don't get put out there enough. I think that some of the crimes and stuff that we see nowadays is far too normalized and far too overlooked.
You think the media is focusing on crimes that they should
I think the media is
on?
focusing on too much political. They're worried too much about politics and what all these politicians are doing, but what about our people and what about our people?
Mhm.
If that makes sense.
That makes perfect sense.
Like, what about my buddy walking down the street and he gets jumped, or one of those things. Like, people don't, or one of girls walking down the street and gets raped and nobody says anything.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. I feel like that's, and don't get me wrong, it is, but I feel like there's very much not enough on that, but there's too much on other things because people have their minds in one place.
Absolutely.
Because people are hard-headed.
Mm-hmm. And they want to focus on other things.
And it doesn't matter to them as much.
And that actually, you pretty much answered the second part of that question. It's, if so, how? And if not, what do they get wrong? And you just basically told me what they
And
got
I mean,
wrong.
there's a lot of there's a lot of false information that comes from this stuff too, because people don't do their research.
Mhm.
You start doing your research too, and it's like, well, this doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. It's more about having your sources right and not just going based off what somebody says on TikTok yesterday. Like, you can't go off social media anymore because there's so much misinformation.
Absolutely. All right, so here's a little bit of personal question, but you don't have to go in depth because I know that certain laws probably prohibit that. Being in the National Guard, how does the military view crime?
So, realistically, it's very dependent. This is 100% a joke, but it wasn't a war crime the first time. That's not true, because there are always repercussions to your actions. And the military is less oriented on, like, hey, you got a DUI the other night, and you were out drinking and got, belligerent and stupid and stuff, yada yada. They're like, you're going to PT for an hour and you're going to do extra duty. We're not going to ruin your life over this. But, like, big stuff is, like, the real world. Like, big stuff is big stuff. Little stuff is just kind of, like, not saying they're not facing repercussions. It's kind of tossed under the rug from authorities, and your leadership's supposed to take care of it.
Yeah.
That and National Guard side's completely different because, like, 9 times out of 10, something happens, you're on the civilian side. So, like, that has nothing to do with the Guard. That just, it can impede your contract and all sorts of other stuff.
Yeah.
So, like, if I get a DUI, civilian side, that's going to hurt me Guard side, because then there's a bunch of paperwork they have to fill out to be able to get me up and running in the right spots.
That makes sense. So it's like two different worlds.
It's
but they're
two different
completely-
worlds, but they literally they have to merge to make it work.
That makes perfect sense. So, what are your views on criminals who complete punishment and are trying to rejoin society?
So here's my thing. If they serve their time and they've learned, and they, because a lot of these people go to prison and they come out and they're like, I need to get my life turned around. I feel like my cousin, he got into trouble when he was in his younger days, and now he can't get a good job and stuff like that. He's one of the most genuine, great people that I know. But he's got a felony on him, and it's ruined his whole world of being able to get a career that he wants. So he's been job hopping since he was in his mid-20s.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, stuff like that. Like, you have your people like that want to turn their lives around for the better and can't. But then you have people that come back out, and like I said, you can't have one standpoint on it, because there's so many different spectrums that people come out in. Like, some people come out and they're like, well, I'm going right back to the same thing that I was doing before.
Mm-hmm.
But then you have your people that are like, well, I want to get my life together and make something of myself, but they can't, because you have a felony. That means you're going to look bad on my paper, but like, they could be the best worker that you ever met.
That's true. So you don't think that's fair?
I don't think it's fair. I think there should be more that goes into it than just judging somebody based off of, hey, you've got a felony.
Mm-hmm.
Like, look into it a little more. Look into what kind of person they actually are. That's why I feel like people who hire based off of personality and stuff like that over, I wouldn't say resume, because a resume is helpful to know, but like people who, like, when your background check comes back and like, oh, they've got a felony, like, look into who they are now. Because, like, who knows, that could have been 30 years ago. That could have been, for some of these people that are in their, late 60s and 70s, that could have been when they were 18, 19, or 20. I mean, people change. They can.
Absolutely.
Some people don't.
Some people definitely don't.
But, I feel like there's a lot of restriction on it when it comes to trying to be like an actual working citizen.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of that, I mean, I feel like a lot of the stuff that's put in place for reasons, but stuff like that is kind of like, I feel like that's something that could change, in my opinion.
That's
especially having people that are, very near and dear to me that I know are genuinely good people now that made bad choices then, running with the wrong crew,
Yeah, people make mistakes. And you can't really judge someone's character off of one mistake.
Mm-hmm.
But then other people, it's completely fair to judge them off of that one mistake.
But the thing is that mistake wasn't one mistake. It was a mistake that keeps happening every time.
Perfect. All right. So how does crime here in our town, most of these are our town oriented, do they differ from crime in cities?
So crime around here, there's a lot more than what people see. Like, a lot of people see, just your basic, oh, there's a school shooting the other day, or, there's a bomb threat, but, like, there's really a lot more goes down here than what people think.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's a lot of cartel that comes through here. I've seen the stuff that happens around here in that term. But a lot of it is more drug-induced than, like, violence and stuff like that. Sure, you've got your weekend bar fights and stuff like that, but, like, that's
a universal.
If you want my complete opinion, it's a bunch of rednecks getting drunk on a Friday night. That's gonna happen. It's just genuinely being honest.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's really not a lot you can put between it. Like, bigger cities have more population than we do here, so there's a higher volume compared to here. So it's not necessarily that it differs. There's just there's more dense population than what we've got here.
Absolutely.
So there's more places things can go wrong.
Yeah. It's a good point. Do you feel safe here where we live? Based on the type of crime and the type of people that live here?
Look, I know more crime that happens around here than a lot of people, but at the same time, I know my people that are around me, or most of them, are good people. And like the people that are bad people, like I don't feel unsafe around them. Of course, me personally, there's not a lot that doesn't make me feel safe, considering my background.
I feel very safe.
I mean, I feel very safe all the time. Times where I don't feel unsafe is whenever I'm not home. Believe it or not, I feel way more unsafe anywhere else than here.
That's a good point. What concerns you about crime? Like, when you think about crime,
The
what's really
fact
concerning?
that people are getting slap on the wrists for stuff that they should be punished for. Like big things that should be punishable. I feel like our justice system is not doing justice for people who need justice.
What are you thinking about exactly?
Like,
And please, totally, absolutely, your opinion.
people, like, even like little, like, small crime stuff, like guy was carrying, or this isn't even small crime, say guy's delivering, has a pound or 2 pounds of cocaine in the back of his car, and they let him out the next day, and we have 3 or 4 overdoses for fentanyl that I'm going to because I'm a firefighter. That happened the next day or the next week. And they're like, I got it from this guy. And I'm like, well, this guy literally was just in jail the other night and they let him out 30 minutes later. Like, stuff like that that's killing people. And people willingly know that they're doing this because they know where they're getting it from. And they know that it's bad or it's laced or stuff like that. Like, that shit just rides my skin. When people get away with stuff and then other people suffer the consequences. And I'm not saying those people that died were in the right by doing that. But the people who are giving it out know that can happen.
Absolutely.
And that's another big thing is fentanyl. People are getting caught with fentanyl and not suffering repercussions, and it's still running rampant in our world. Not even our town, our country, our world. It's running rampant, and like.
So you think they're kind of sweeping that one along with cocaine and
like
other
drugs in
like
general? Because I know that there are bigger stuff going on, but let's talk about how many people are on these drugs when all these other things are happening. I mean, drug use. Some people use drug use as a coping mechanism, and I feel for those people because. I mean, they've got a lot going on, and that's their only outlet. But at the same time, there's help you can get, but a lot of people don't think that's an option or don't know that that's an option. So they turn to that stuff, and then they kill themselves at the end of the day because one bad person was like, I'm going to lace this or, something like that and kill 5 or 6 people.
Yeah.
Or, on the other hand, these people are doing all these drugs and they kill their kid or something because they're going crazy, or they're so drugged out of their mind their kid dies because they're not taking care of them. Kind of thing.
Either that or it could be driving a car.
And like, these are things that I see. Like, these are things that I've seen in person. And like, it's just, to me, it paints a really bad picture in my mind having to see that. Having to hear about all these kids that are dying because their mom's overdosing on drugs, and then the mom goes crazy and chokes out her son and kills him, and then she tries to overdose because she just killed her son and doesn't want to deal with the consequences of it.
And you're speaking of something that just.
And I'm speaking of something that happened less than at the end of the year.
Yeah, I know. I remember. Do you think drugs are your main concern? Or is one of the main concerns?
At least for around here, because like we don't have a lot of people getting shot and stuff like that. Like it happens, but it's not like, oh, I don't like this guy, I'm gonna go shoot him. It's like, hey, this guy came up was trying to break into my house, so I shot him.
Yeah.
That's self-defense. This guy's trying to break into. Yeah, I get that.
Mm-hmm.
I do the same thing. I mean, I carry.
Yeah.
I'm a gun owner. I'm very proficient. Like, if you come breaking into my house, I promise it's not going to end well. And I'm not saying I want to go out shooting somebody, but like, at the end of the day, if you're coming into my house trying to harm my family,
You have 2 parents and 2 siblings.
I have
sleeping.
2 parents and 2 siblings that are sleeping, and I'll be damned if somebody's to hurt my family.
Mm-hmm.
Simple as that. Like, so like those things, like, and like people going to jail for that, for home defense. I don't get that. I really don't get that. Somebody's breaking into their house and they've got a weapon on them.
Mhm.
You have right to protect yourself. And these people are going to jail for murder, but if they're in your house trying to harm you, that's literally under law self-defense. Which doesn't happen often. Our
Yeah.
justice system is pretty good about that, but like it still happens. I hear stories all the time of like, yeah, I just got out of prison. Why, man? Well, some guy broke into my house, so I shot him and killed him. Well, that doesn't make much sense, you know? Stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know? See, I don't see a lot of the big stuff because, you know, we don't live in, we luckily don't live in a place where that happens often.
Mm-hmm. Completely agree. All right. Well, that was my last question.
Oh, that was it.
Thank you very much.
Not a problem, good sir.
And thank you for watching.